Hello, people.
Hey,
Hey, I think it's just us. Hello and welcome.
hello Saskia,
Hello, Saskia, Lima, Shivana, Joanna.
Welcome.
everyone.
All right,
Good.
let's do a little circle, a little check-in, and then we can get to work on the journey this evening, okay? So, Dan, do you want to jump in? How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. I had to stop early with work today because of the Zoom meeting. Uh, it's great here in Switzerland. Yesterday I had a day off, went to the mountains, had some time for myself. And,
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
very good. Work
Mm-hmm.
is going well as well, so we're
Mm-hmm.
on track.
What are you actually doing in Switzerland? What is your mission?
My mission is to get the logistic system working, so they can move the plants around in the greenhouse,
Mm,
all automated.
sounds good. Yeah. So, how
Yeah.
much longer do you have there?
Until Thursday and Friday, I'll drive home.
Are you driving home, do you say?
Yeah,
Wow. How long does that take?
9 hours.
My goodness.
Yeah,
You
it's
didn't
it's
fancy
quicker than
flying?
by
Or...
plane.
You don't like planes?
No, it's quicker to drive these days.
Well,
You have to be in line for 4 hours, or the plane doesn't take off.
that's true.
Things
You know,
like
my
that.
flight got cancelled last time, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mercury retro.
No, I think it's just EasyJet. I think.
Now,
That's
universe thought that you needed one more time.
Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
It's quite nice having a hotel.
And it's much easier to take all my stuff with me in the car. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And I get a car here to go from the hotel to work, etc. So
Okay.
yeah, that's good.
Great. How about you, Tanya? How's things?
Mm, yeah, I feel now more that the integration of last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a lot of mental processes going on. But now last weekend I had a cacao ceremony on my ecstatic dance, and yesterday I had a good rest on my couch Netflixing. So yeah, I feel there's still this creative
Mm-hmm.
modus, but yeah, I'm okay with a lot of stuff.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good. So you're in the afterwave.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, I'm not in the afterwave yet. We just finished our event last night. I'm in the first afterwave.
The
We had,
Oasis.
yeah, the Open Oasis. Yeah, it was just lovely. I just feel so honoured that the students in Holland and Czech Republic are just doing their thing and just so totally naturally and at ease. And yeah, I kind of dreamt this. I dreamt this years ago. I thought this would be like my ideal outcome of the training in many ways. I mean, one ideal outcome is someone actually teaches the dance. That's another that's another conversation. But the deeper priority for me in a way is that people activate their soul and then just translate that into everyday action and just welcome new people into themselves really. And we had like a similar number of new people, 15, sometimes not so many. On Saturday night we had more people come in for the event, but you could see that they were really touched. You know, they were surrounded by the students. You know, we had loads of students there, and yeah, they got really blessed and blissed out, which was fantastic. Deep healing. Just I think they just all enjoyed just the connection with people, and 4 of them signed up for the new cycle of the school, which is great. That was also an extra wish from this. Yeah, very good, really. And it's just 10 minutes from my house. That's also incredible. I can just drive down there, drive back, check on the kids, go back there again. You know, that's nice. Yeah. But today's been a bit of a rushy day. I've been advertising lots of things because I've got this public speaking event tomorrow, and I don't really feel that prepared because it's slightly out of my comfort zone. And yeah, but I was just sharing with Pablo. I seem to relax more when I'm working, so already just being here, I feel more relaxed.
Out of focus.
Yeah. So I would like to bring our attention today to the journey and like really go into it in depth. And what I want to share on our Facebook group this week, I want to give you 10 examples of journeys that I've done, which are all a bit different, which I'm not really going to edit. I mean, I've already kind of produced them. I'm just going to let you see the way they come through. and it'll give you some idea about what's going on. But yeah, to really look at it in depth and just to see how we can put this all together in many ways. We'll probably take a couple of sessions on this. There's more to say about the alchemical dance codes, but I think it's important to start the conversation about the journey now. And essentially, we're weaving these three things together, aren't we? The music, the alchemical dance codes, and the sense of the journey itself. Yeah? So these are like core foundational elements, you know, to really and how we produce the journey itself. You know, we talked a bit about creativity, how to manifest a class, how to manifest a dance journey. But to really understand the flow form of this and what it takes and what it's about, I think gives you the key to then know which exercises to choose and which music to complement them. So the journey really is like the main theme, you see? It's like once you've understood the nature of the journey, then it's easier to find the other elements. Yeah? So let's start at the beginning. It's like, you know, I think before I was even into shamanism, even really aware of shamanism, I came across Joseph Campbell, and I was inspired by him because he was just so charismatic. Have you seen him? Have you seen him on YouTube? No. If you have a look at him, he's like he comes from a different dimension. He just full power. He's a living myth, and he was way ahead of his time. He's like the one of the early mentors of a lot of the work that we're doing now, which people aren't even aware of. Like he pioneered so much. He was an anthropologist, studied stuff all around the world, and he started to have this kind of synthesis way of looking at things to like connect the dots between different traditions, religions, spiritual paths, and he could see the threads, the common threads between them all, which is genius. You know, he wasn't attached to the religious process or the outer form. He could see the esoteric energy which was weaving them all together. So I really, really admire him for that. You know, I recognize that. I love that about him. And he's the one, as far as we understand, who created the term the hero's journey. He wrote a book called A Hero with 1,000 Faces. And, you know, not mean to be sexist, could you say hero, heroine, you know, but it's just like the idea of the human being who's on a mythic quest. Yeah. And then when he started to take this as in like the big view, the mythic quest from birth till death. You know, it's like the existential quest. Like that's the widest angled vision. That's your panorama view. Yeah. And then we look at micro versions of that. The hero's journey over a weekend, during a marriage, during an upbringing of children. The hero's journey of a relationship, of a business project. And then even more micro than that, it's like what are the hero's journey of waking up in the morning till sleeping at night time? You know, what kind of, whether it's, you know, we can also ask what does success mean? What does accomplishment mean? That'd be quite an interesting part of this. But the idea that we've accomplished something internally, externally, each and every day gives us meaning, place, purpose, and also challenging a little bit some of the Western ideas around goals and ambition, and just like put it more into balance from the heart perspective. Yeah? But what I want to transmit is that everything can be seen in the context of a hero's journey. This conversation, you know, love making food, hanging out with the kids, going to work. Yeah? Like Dan's on a quest, goes to Switzerland, hero journey, fixes their things, comes back, they're all happy, he's happy, gets paid, everyone's good. You see? And it's a quest, it's like a mini mission. Okay? The question is, I'm curious about, also for Tanya, for you to reflect on as well, is that for me as a man, in my masculine form, it's very, I don't even like to use the word instinctual or natural, because it may not be instinctual, it could be superimposed. But it feels without any question, I just know that I'm here on a mission. And maybe it's something to do with like the penetrating force, the Shiva, the outgoing aspects of the masculine. But it feels like, you know, life without a mission isn't really life. Yeah, that's from my eyes. Yeah? And yet when I just talk and hang out more with women and really get inside where they're looking from, feeling from, sensing from, there's a lot of women who really are not living inside of this. Yeah, and it's more about relationships, more about presence, more about feeling, the sensing of the moment. And generally the intuitive flow, like what's occurring from now into next. And there are other women who I know who are just more career driven and ambition than I am, you know, who are just really penetrating the world in their own different ways.
Like me.
Very possibly, yeah. So we could look at these as different qualities, but I don't want to make an assumption, see? This is why I'm bringing it up, to make an assumption, and this is important when you're holding a dance journey, and you say we're going to do a hero's journey today, well, the women might not be interested. And I'm also talking to the women and the men. There's some men who just want to be in sensitive presence, feeling with the music, with the moment. Yeah? And there's other people who come there on a quest. Like I'm here for healing. I'm here for vision. I'm here for transforming my relationship, letting go of some of my pain. Yeah? So we can put this in two different categories, okay? There's receiving, receptive. Yeah. So we can call this paying attention. Yeah. And then this is the paying attention side to the hero's journey. And then there's the activating intention side. And I want to start to bridge this. So these are a figure of 8. Yeah? I am suggesting to you that the hero's journey needs paying attention. It absolutely needs a receptive side. It's not all about I'm on a pilgrimage, I'm on the quest, I'm on the Camino. It's what you did beforehand. The preparation, getting the bags, getting the energy right, getting fit, whatever it takes to get you ready for the journey. Just even in your existential state or view or emotion. But that's all part of paying attention. And I feel, and I've said this 1,000 times, I feel in the Western world we miss paying attention. And more so now with the birth of, I say the birth of mindfulness. It's become pretty popular in business and schools, mindfulness, yeah. Which is...
Yeah, do you mean attention or awareness? Because...
I mean, for me, those are very, very similar. To pay attention is to give awareness to. It's the same thing as witnessing and noticing, yeah? If you want it in one sentence, this is how I understand it, because people often say consciousness and awareness in the same category. Yeah? I'm conscious. You can also say I'm aware. You could also say I'm paying attention. Yeah. So this is what it may be slightly confusing, but for me, awareness is primordial. Yeah. Consciousness is an activity that comes out of awareness. That's how I see it. Yeah? So consciousness has a content. Yeah, but within consciousness, there's thinking, there's feeling, there's activity, there's doing. Yeah, but awareness is the blue sky holding all those clouds. So for me, it's not actually accurate when someone says I'm conscious. I know what they mean, yeah? And in medical terms, he's conscious, he's unconscious. Right? So we look at it as a biological phenomenon. But I would, if I was going to clarify, I would say that I am awareness. I am aware of. Like even right now, you're aware of my voice, your movement, the chair. You're aware of content. Are we together in this? Is it? So I would say consciousness is content, either physical content or subtle content, like the content of thoughts. That's still content. It's of a more refined substance. Yeah? Whereas awareness is before content. Yeah? So when I'm talking about heartfulness, I'm really talking about this kind of profound state of awareness, which is capable of like holding all of it. And when I hear people talk about mindfulness, what I often see them doing is they're mindful of something and they get engaged in the content. Yeah. So it's like, I just wonder, to be mindfulness really would be to be mind. Do you see? That would be the same conclusion we're talking about now. Mindfulness is an activity, isn't it? Whereas awareness is a state of presence. Which is why I use a verb. I am being aware. I'm doing awareness. You see? That I am aware and I'm being aware of. That's probably enough of my semantics for tonight, isn't it? Have I classified it enough for you? Is that good? I feel the details are important, to be honest. I don't know if you've ever studied this, but the way that people language things reveals how they believe about things. That's primarily how I work as a coach. You know? What people say to me is them echoing what they're believing. So if somebody constantly says to me, I'm being aware of, then, they said that constantly. I'd say that their attention's over there. If someone was meditating and said, I am awareness, that's a much calmer state of steadiness and, just profound self-noticing state. Yeah. Does that clarify it for you enough, Tanya? Do you have any other questions that you want me to take 15 minutes to answer?
No.
That good? All right. So we're going to come back to this simple thing. All right. The reason I was bringing up awareness is that there's a passive side or receptive side to the hero's journey. Yeah. And we can call this a preparatory phase. Yeah. And this is relevant for when we're constructing a journey, see? Often, And when I first started teaching trance dance, I'd often get people to set their intention right at the very beginning. What's your intention for tonight? Let's focus on that. And I've changed my approach now, which is if they are to set an intention at the beginning, I know it's going to be pretty mental. Not for all people, but for a lot of people, because they're in a mind state and they're sort of pretty much given their shopping list of things they want. Yeah. If you start a journey with much more kinesthetic awareness, breathing, feeling, moving, connecting, before any words about intention, then you start to activate a sense of embodiment. Okay? Now, I'm much more interested in an intention that actually has a connection to your embodied experience. Not just, I want to be an airline pilot. Something which is really alive in my system. Yeah. And the only way to get to that is to start by paying attention. I know I've done this with you before, but I call it the paying attention dance. Yeah? Just eyes closed, notice, breathe, and just gently move and just start to notice what's happening in your experience. Yeah? And what I really want to transmit to you is that we are looking at the hero's journey, but we're looking at the whole process of the hero's journey. And I'm suggesting it begins with paying attention. Yeah? Dropping in, reflecting, reconnecting with self. Whether you want to call that witnessing, noticing, heartfulness, mindfulness, or just simply awareness. Yeah? Getting present. And part of getting present is noticing where you're not present, isn't it? Yeah. I notice I'm really angry. I notice I'm occupied with my boss, or with next week, or no money, or frustration. Yeah. In saying all of that, communicating all of that, I'm saying it and releasing it. And in the release of it, I'm starting to get myself more and more into present moment, and the tension starts to appear. So it's like as we take the attachment off all the points of focus. Imagine right now in front of you, okay, you've got a target, you've got loads of arrows, 15 arrows on the target, and all those arrows represent different thought forms you've had during the day. Work thought forms, relationship, fantasy thought forms, project, all the different. Yeah. Now imagine that arrow board, the bow and arrow board, represents your state of consciousness now. Yeah. And you're still attached to those 15 arrows. Do you see? Now, right now we've got a fresh arrow in the bow. Do you see? And the fresh arrow in the bow wants to look at the target and hit the bullseye, if that's what you're up for. But instead of that, we're looking at the other 17 arrows already in the target. So our attention is scattered. See? Now to be laser focused, really superbly present, is like one arrow, one bow, one target, isn't it? It's like everything's aligned, everything's directional, there's no distraction. But I'm suggesting most people live with 100 arrows in their target. And, they're attached to all those. It's like they've all got whips attaching back to themselves. So without recognizing it, on the back burner, we're worried about money or relationships or children or politics or the war. Or, there's loads of other stuff we're occupied with. Yeah? So this is all what comes out, hopefully, as you start to encourage the dance of noticing. Yeah. I've said to you before, and hopefully you'll start to feel it for yourself, is that I'm not adding anything to you. I'm rather taking something away so what's already here can reveal itself. Yeah. And what I notice with most people and myself sometimes is that, I'm my own obstacle. I'm getting in the way of just simply being here. It's like before this call, I was kind of running around, cooking, cleaning, tidying, fixing, finishing. I had loads of arrows in my target just now. And now you're here. It's like Tanya said as well. It's just that, why I rest is I bring my focus to one point. See, the point of being here with you right now in this present moment is that I feel more engaged than I did 15 minutes ago. Because I was trying to finish loads of jobs all at once. Yeah? Do you recognize this? Or am I just talking about myself? Do you function like this? Yeah, do you want to speak a minute, Dan? Well, how about you?
Well, if I look at myself, I notice that I'm more focused to one thing at a time. Yeah.
So in absolute honesty and clarity, you've not been busy with other things. You're just getting on with your job. You're just presently relaxed in Switzerland.
Yeah. I'm totally focused on the work, and well, that's all I do at the moment.
What happens when you go home, though? What happens when you go home and you got, you, your son and everyone else is kicking off, doing their own different things? Does that not take your attention sometimes?
What do you mean when I go home?
When you go back to your family and you're suddenly, it's not just down home in Switzerland in a hotel room doing his work. Suddenly you're surrounded by other people's perceptions and needs for attention and desires and wishes and things.
I don't get so much distracted from home because they do their own thing. And yeah, I have some connection with Irene a few times, but not so much. So yeah.
So just to check in, okay?
Uh-huh.
Because so on the one hand, what you're saying sounds really lovely. Yeah, I could hear you that you're happily centered and very present. Yeah. Or I could also hear you that you're suppressed and in denial and disconnected. Do you see? Because it's like I recognize both states inside of me. See, there's sometimes where I'm feeling blissfully content because I really genuinely am self-connected and calm inside. Yeah? And there's other times I might look like that on the outside, but what's actually happening on the inside is that I've kind of switched off the volume and put myself in a little bubble, or cling film bubble. No, one of the things you press in. Do you recognize that, Tanya, as well? The difference between being content and centered and then being distracted and overly engaged and just wanting to switch it off?
Yeah, especially today with this new moon, Mercury retrograde, blah, blah. Today I was really all over the place with my head. So, yeah, I'm really trained to align back again and meditate so long. So for me, it's really easy to go back into my belly and present moment. But it was funny because my grandmother died 2 years ago and I was the only one that could find everything because he has the same habit like me, like this yellow post-it. So things happen in my mind, or every week I make my list, and she had the same. So I could find all the pin codes and stuff that was needed. Wow. So when I'm having too much arrows, then I make my list and then I work them through. Otherwise I get crazy.
I've never expressed it like this before, but I quite like the image of the arrows in the target. Just as, because it's like an arrow suggests that you fired it, doesn't it? Your target.
Huh?
An arrow suggests it's your arrow and it's your target, that you fired it there. And so
yeah, and sometimes it can be very when it's too mental, it can be very penetrating. So and then it's not nice anymore. So when I feel that there's too much of that, then I really have to go back to presence, because otherwise my mind is getting overloaded.
I was just remembering Shivana in our when she was at Joanna's house, when she said, I could talk about all these kind of things. Oh, here's Saskia. Yeah. If you like. Me, Tanya, and okay, so I think Saskia might come in a second.
Okay.
Good.
I'm just checking to see if Shivana responded, but she hasn't. Yeah. Okay, so the reason I'm bringing this up now and looking at some of our personal examples around it is just to see how we come back to a state of paying attention, how we come back to like really what we might consider to be centered or present, or just relaxed in the here and now, and just how that is so important as a foundation, like the foundation to explore what we want, which is essentially what an intention is, isn't it? If you look at the intention, is I want something. You might want it from all sorts of different levels. It could be very physical wanting, could be a metaphysical wanting, but essentially intention has the energy of I want, I will, I'm doing. It's an activity, isn't it? And you can call it spiritual intention, if you like, or you can call it instinctual intention. It's all the same process at different levels of the expression. But what we're really looking at now, and I want you to start to translate that into the journey process, is how do I get to a space of creating what we might consider to be authentic intention? Yeah. And just to clarify, authentic for me means like the most true or the most honest we can get to in this present moment with our resources and awareness and everything else. Yeah? Like my state of honesty might be perceived as a complete lie to you, which I find interesting in a phenomenon in relationships. Yeah? Sometimes one person expresses something in their genuine state of awareness, and they genuinely believe what they're saying or doing. Sometimes men and women are being devious bastards, but a lot of the time it's like there's a genuine state of ignorance of deeper levels of self, and what they see in the field of vision is what they believe to be true. Yeah. So this is quite an interesting phenomenon when really getting into it with people, to recognize that some people aren't actually lying. They're just not conscious of their state. You might have more eyes to see and more depths to understand with, but if the person can't see with those eyes and understand those depths, then what they are presenting and saying is what they believe to be most true about them. And that can be incredibly frustrating when you can see. It's like you're banging your head, why can't you see it? But people only see from the level of their awareness. That seems to be the rule of life, isn't it? You see from your state of awareness. If this is true, then there's huge value in deepening your state of awareness so you see more, feel more, sense more, taste more, touch more. They're just awake to more of life. Yeah? And I feel that's the only difference, really, between like your Neanderthal and your Buddha is a depth of awareness. We've all got the same capacity, the same equal capacity for realization. Yeah. What's missing, or what's not yet awoken, which is more accurate, is just that deepening depths of self-awakening. Yeah? And that's why most people go, wow. I had quite a few wows this weekend. It's like, wow, I didn't know dance could do that. Or wow, that drumming was amazing. It's like, that suddenly you had a breakthrough from something you didn't know was possible, and now it is possible. We did like simple stuff. We've done it 1,000 times in our group. You create a circle and you step in when you feel like you want to express yourself. But I got really present for some people in that circle. It was like the first time they've really showed up in a tribe. Yeah, as them, as they actually want to be seen. Yeah, and I really got in touch with, wow, this is really quite a big deal. It's not just a dance. Yeah, this is an existential step. This is like going through the archway in the Sacred Heart Gathering. It's like I'm moving through this initiation pathway from a state of non-expression and non-invisibility to community acceptance, to taking my place in the tribe. So also just want to remind you of that, just to be really sensitive that sometimes you're creating absolute magic and miracles in the space, which to keep getting into the Zen mind, beginner's mind. Yeah, it's like you might have done it 100 times. This person's never done this, maybe. Yeah, and then you start to get in there with their excitement and their openness, and then you take more time about what you're saying and what you're delivering and how it's all going. Yeah? So yeah. All right. So just as a recap, we're looking at the hero's journey, and we're beginning the hero's journey before the hero's journey, which is like we're looking at the overview, we're creating the ground, and really what we're approaching here is deepening a state of connection. Like a regular school class, they've got, these are the activities and these are the benefits, these are the goals. Yeah? So, as a teacher, this is the same thing. We're still working with the same process. At this stage of the class, the benefits and the goals are self-connection and self-awareness. Now, we've got a different method that we might approach that, how we enable that. But essentially, there is a certain outcome that we're wishing for, hoping for, and encouraging with the group. Is that they come to a deepening state of awareness where they can begin to discover what their present intention is. Yep. I forgot to put the transcript on. There it is. It's on now. Yep. So this deepening state of self-awareness then gives you the capacity to create an intention. In one sentence, how do you know what you want if you don't know who you are? Okay. So that's like a key sentence, and you can explore that from loads of different levels. Because, how do you know what you want from the depth of the awareness of who you believe yourself to be? There's another way of saying the same thing. Yeah, if you believe that you want sex, money, and power, that's your state of awareness. Well, that's what you're going to be seeking in life. You know yourself to be this, and from this state of awareness, this is what this wants. See, they're not actually perceiving missing anything or anything more or anything less. It's like it's a genuine perception from a state of realization they're in. Yeah? If somebody's in an unconscious habit of always being angry and aggressive, then what they want is more violence and more aggression. Everyone else is judging them, putting them in prison and trying to control them. But from the person who's actually in the experience itself, is that they're being congruent with their inner state and outer state. Yep. I want you to play with this a little bit, okay? Because it is pretty deep when you start to really notice this. Is that what's happening on the inside is what's happening on the outside. Yeah, like you're genuinely calm, content people, they've done a lot of inner work. Yeah, which is different to people who are just suppressing the outside and say, shut up, be quiet. Don't, all those people who are kind of trying to control the outside to get peace. Is very different to someone who's genuinely calm in the middle of all the turmoil. Here comes Saskia. Yay. We'll just take a moment to bring Saskia in, okay? That's good with you? And to reflect on that for yourself, okay? Just for a moment. I'll just welcome Saskia in a sec. I want you to reflect on your state of awareness of self and how that is affecting your behavior. How your behavior is coming from your point of perspective. Yeah, let's see if you can contemplate that for a little moment. Saskia, I'm just checking to see if you can hear us. There you go. Look at that. Hello. Welcome. Let's unmute you. Yeah, is that good? In the bottom left. Yeah, you must. Just want to check to see if your voice is working.
Hello.
Yes, fantastic.
Hi.
Hey, great. Welcome.
I just discovered your message from your invitation to join in.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy you have. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Listen, I was just going to give you a little recap of where we are, but is that okay? So I'll just give you a couple of minutes, then you're in the conversation.
Yes.
First of all, very welcome. I'm very delighted you're here. Yeah. Joanna, Shivana, and Nima couldn't make it this evening for different reasons.
Okay.
And this is often the way it is. So sometimes we're all here, sometimes we're not all here, but we record these sessions so that we can all see them whenever we can. The theme for this evening is the journey. So we're really looking at how we construct the dance journey, but at the same time, as we always do, we're looking at how this is symbolic in the life journey. Because the dance journey is really an echo of the life experience. And I was just referring to Joseph Campbell and his work with the hero's journey. And then we're starting to look at how does that play out in terms of the dance. We've only just started this conversation, and the beginning part of it is paying attention before setting intention. Okay, so before you go on a journey, there's gathering the resources, connecting with yourself, deepening into your awareness, and then we kind of know much more about the nature of the journey itself. Okay. So those are my words, but let's see, just to check that Tanya and Dan are listening, see we're in the same conversation. So I'll go with Dan. Do you want to give your synopsis for Saskia? What do you think we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes?
Can you repeat it again, your question?
No, I'm just inviting Dan in his own words now, just to share with you what he believes we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes.
Oops. Yeah, I've been listening a lot. Nice, Tanya. Hi, Saskia. Good to see you here. Very good. Yeah. Let's see if I can bring something back that the guy has been talking about. We're talking about the hero journey and what it's your awareness at moments. And well, I was just started thinking about my own hero's journey. I have some difficulties to recapitulate everything that has been said, so I'm just gonna continue on my own thoughts. And the question that came to me was, what is a hero? Do I need to be a hero? And what if I'm not a hero? Then what am I? Am I feeling less if I'm not a hero? Yeah, that was what came up to me.
That's a very good question, Dan. Thanks for that. Saskia, we're also exploring, and I'm also curious now, there's 2 men, 2 women here, also curious as well on your experience of the hero's journey, because I was suggesting, just considering the possibility, that hero's journey is something which is kind of innate for men. It's like to get out into the world, status, symbol, action, all that stuff. And maybe from the feminine soul, the feminine psyche, it's not as important, or it has a different focus. So it's not so much about achieving or getting or having or proving or all that kind of stuff that men often get into. Maybe the hero's journey could be conceived of giving birth, feeling deep, connecting to great mystery, moving with the cycles of the moon. Maybe it has more of a feeling, essential quality to it, which is not so manifest. And just to become aware that we're teaching men and women, masculine and feminine, yin and yang, and with that sensitivity of awareness, that actually influences quite considerably the way we put the journeys together. Because if we pump up for a group of men, we might end up being like Tony Robbins or motivational. Come on, get out there, do it. Where's the action plan? Right? And then correspondingly, if we're doing a journey just for all the feminine souls, men and women, then it might be so receptive that there's no action. You see, it's a total receptive journey of where you're just traveling into the quiet beauty of existence, and it's not about the manifestation at all. See, so I'm just saying there's a consideration to be made between the yin and the yang approach to what is the hero's journey. Let's just hear a few words from Tanya, and then I'm going to ask you in your own words, Saskia, as well, what you feel or respond to when I say the word hero's journey. But Tanya, what are you receiving so far?
Yeah, the first part of the Zoom call was about starting the journey and the difference between awareness and intention, and that from our journey we work in a dance to first breathe and body people so that they can feel from the inside what really wants to arise, instead of making a mental intention, because then it becomes really my will be done instead of something from inside out. So that is what the teaching was about. And yeah, the hero journey. And for me, different roles, of course. I am a mother, that is a hero place, and sometimes it's not. And I'm a lover of my friend, I'm a daughter. But yeah, you will know that I follow the way. I did a Read of the Womb initiation, it's shamanic, but I also worked on the many, like the priestess, the 7 layers of Isis. And then you go to different layers of the mysteries of being a woman, because we have these hormones in the moon. So from 2016, I lived from the moon. And today I said to a woman, that woman, when I want to manifest something, I really make contact and I feel, and then then the universe will help me to unfold itself. And the form, I am not the one who's, of course I contain it, but I'm not the one that is responsible for the outcome. Yeah. So I make with the moon cycle, like today's new moon, and then I make a drawing or whatever, a feeling or whatever, and then I let it go. And then, yeah, so this is how it works for me. Yeah.
Thanks, Tanya. So Saskia, there's 2 things there. Is that one, just in your own words, what's your immediate response to the nature of a journey? And what do you understand by the hero's journey? What is it?
The hero journey?
Yeah. Does it have a meaning for you?
But I don't know what you mean by it, a hero journey, because I didn't follow. I just tuned in right now. What do you mean with the hero?
Yeah, let me just give a little bit of background then. So yeah. We're just referring to Joseph Campbell, who is a very famous mythologist. He's passed away now, but he wrote a book years ago, which is called The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And in many ways, he's like a forefather or one of the sort of mentors of our time, because he was kind of there around Jung as well, both exploring the collective unconscious, mythology, alchemy, that these were points of focus they were interested in. Yeah? And he was a man who had a very wide interest in all the global religions and spiritual traditions, and he wanted to find the common ground, what connects them all. And so these are the universality or universal spiritual principles that you can see anywhere in any kind of approach. And what he came up with is a scheme which he called the hero's journey, which is essentially the idea of the man or woman goes out on a vision quest or a pilgrimage or a Camino. And symbolically, this is moving out from our ordinary state of consciousness into a mystical state of consciousness, which is often might be a physical journey up the mountain or to, on the Camino path, or it could be an internal meditation. But it's a shifting of consciousness and energy where we are open to inspiration vision, energy, healing, new possibilities. And then we come back to the community, the village, the world, or we come back to an ordinary state of consciousness and we bring the gifts back with us. So it's like a two-stage journey. You start from here, you go to Great Mystery, then you come back to the where you left off, but you're bringing back now the gift of awareness and beauty and healing for yourself, others, and community. And his suggestion is that every human life, in some level or depth, is a hero's journey. But Dan brings in an interesting question: what is the meaning of the hero? It's like that's a very personal, subjective experience. Like your own personal sense of meaning around your hero or heroine is going to be different to Tanya's, Dan's, or mine.
Yeah.
So that this is all part of what's the reason we're talking about this is today's subject is about the dance journey, which is the whole nature of journeying, which is different to just a dance class or just any activity. It's like in the context of a much bigger existential movement.
Yeah.
So just, I don't know, in your own experience, how do you perceive yourself in terms of the hero like this or the nature of a journey?
Yeah, for me, I think it's a combination of open yourself to it, also to the mystic of a journey, the energy of a journey. It's from yourself, but also from the people who are with you in the dance. And for me, it's also about taking it seriously and being responsible for what you want. If you want a good journey with a lot of mystic or depth or seeing new things or learning new stuff, you start with yourself by opening your heart, but also being responsible for everything you meet in the dance from yourself or from the other people, and taking care of yourself and everything what you feel in it. Yeah, and I experience when you're very open to what you experience yourself, but also with everybody in the dance, because there's also always a lot of energy. You can fly with it if you want. You can fly on it. Yeah, and I also experienced that the energy of a group. If you want, you can be open in it. It can embrace you. Yeah, but it starts with your own what you want with it and how you open yourself in it. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
and being responsible for what you meet. Yeah, and I strongly believe in I see it in my own life right now, that if you wish for something and you dream about it, and then you can manifestate it, and that is also the same principle in the dance.
This is great. So there's lots of different elements here. So let's just imagine right now that this is also imagine just starting out as a dancing heart path facilitator. It's like we talked about the key elements. Music is obviously a key element. Yeah? The understanding of music, what music can do, power of music, different frequencies and sequencing. There's a lot of stuff to music, as you know. Yeah, but it's one of your essential ingredients. It's like a primary medicine. Yeah? Another primary medicine are what we call the alchemical dance codes. So the exercises, the ritual moments. Yeah? Now these activate the music, and the music activates them. There's a complementary relationship. Yeah? But these two don't really make sense without the context of the journey. See, now the journey is what gives meaning to both of these. Right? So the journey now amplifies the music. Now the music, instead of just being like, oh, that's a nice piece of music, opens my heart a little bit, suddenly it's like, well, this is an existential moment of transformation where I go and move from my pain through my grief into my openness and acceptance. Is that it creates more context. Like you could do the journey of living and dying, for example. That would be a pretty profound subject to engage in. The journey from stress to vitality. The whole nature of a journey is some kind of transformational movement, transformational possibility, or some creative, innovative adventure. Yeah? Some journeys are about healing. Some journeys are about pure presence. I go to meet Great Mystery without any personal agenda. other than I want to surrender more into the depth of self and life itself. But there's a sensation of meaning that gets generated when we actually introduce the word journey. I'll just give another example. When I was teaching Bidanza for children, we were always taught to read them a story first. Yeah, clear story, simple story, with some key archetypal characters. There's the bear, there's the tree, there's the river, there's the golden egg, right? Just as an example. Yeah. And you tell a short story for 5-10 minutes and really get the children sort of focused on these key elements. Then you start the dance journey, right? And instead of saying we're going to open the hands, we say we're going to open the branches of the tree and we're going to search for the golden egg. Right? So you would do the whole dance journey inside of the story. The story would be the movement, see? Now the kids have already been told the story, so they know I'm going to go on a quest up the tree to find the golden egg, to open the treasure and hatch the new dragon, yeah, for example. And so the whole 30-minute, 45-minute children's dance journey is based on this mystic quest to fulfill the outcome of the story you told them at the beginning. Then at the end of the dancing, 45 minutes later, the children then get pens and papers, colours and things, and they paint their version of what they discovered in the journey. Yeah, so they'll be there for another 10-15 minutes painting the dragon, the egg, the tree, the scary child, the open wings, whatever. Then you do a circle sharing. What did you discover? And you get and hold their piece of paper in front of them, so they could say what they've just manifested on this. And all of this makes the whole thing, the whole hour, is connected. What connects it is the story. See? Now for adult class, we're just changing the word story for journey. Do you see? That's why we talk about themes sometimes. But I feel that sometimes people sell a bit short on the theme. They don't realize it in the same way that the child realizes it. Yeah. So if you could realize the power of a story, yeah, in your 10 minutes at the beginning, it's like, Saskia, I loved it when your cloak thing still stays with me. I want to introduce that. And it was a short transmission. You didn't tell a huge amount. I got a little bit of translate. I'm sure I missed a lot of it. But I received enough to realize, wow, that's fantastic. Welcoming blanket. Native American Indians do that. Start to visualize, picture it, see it, and then actually have a kinesthetic experience. See? So that was an adult version of telling a child's story about Native American Indian traditions. See? And then we activated it by doing a ceremony. I'm just suggesting to you that your 10 minutes at the beginning, they can be a little bit technical. I think that's important. The toilet's there, the dance floor's there. This is what you can do, this is what you can't do. These are a bit of the rules of the space, right? So people can navigate, the physicality. But then the other part of the talking is existential. Now, I normally say to you, this is where you're supposed to inspire the people. Yeah. But now I'm giving you even more details. Inspire them by getting them into a story, if you like, a journey story that is relevant and meaningful for them. Right? So it could be, we're going to go on the journey of reconnecting to an old friend. That could be a dance journey. You see? And you're going to use certain supportive exercises of breathing, shaking, releasing, opening, using the eyes, to go through the processes of reconnecting with someone that you've lost contact with. See? Now then the meaning of that class, yes, Tanya? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, now I remember 2 weeks ago, you gave us this practice. Yeah, I remember again. And I did it, but now I forgot it because of the weekend, but now I came back to it again. Yeah. So interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah, see, hopefully you're starting to get ding ding excited about this. I hope so. I'm excited about this because I know this and I do this instinctively because I've been doing it for so long, but I forget to teach this sometimes because it's become so part of the way that I teach. I forget to actually tell you who are learning to teach how to teach. So thank you for pulling me to accountability. What am I doing and how am I doing it? And I remember when I first came in contact with this idea, give people a theme because it gives a narrative that the whole of their being can follow from start to finish. Because a lot of people don't understand why you do a theme, see? Some people just do a theme because it's good advertising. Sexy class, loads of vitality, money, wealth, and these things could be heroes' journeys. They could be. Yeah. But I feel that sometimes people use them as a sexy advertising, what is it called? A hook. Yeah. I invite you to give genuine, authentic advertising, which is going to be reflected in your 10-minute speech at the beginning. And because the minute that group of strangers in your circle can come together on a common human story, they're going to dance that for the next 2 hours. Do you see? And you know they're all going to be in the same bubble. They're exploring their own versions of it. They're getting their own individual teachings, but they're all happening in the container of we're now exploring our relationship with our mothers or our bosses, yeah? Or 3 days, yeah. yes, Saskia, yeah.
Yeah, but the teaching, the first 10 minutes, you tell the story. And then you also said from some breathing or shaking. Is it before the story or after the story?
Okay, so let's just clarify, okay? So we've got loads of time, yeah. So I'm inviting you to approach Dancing Heart Path journeys as always being hero's journeys. Yeah, you got 2.5 hour opportunity with a group of human beings to do something amazing. Yeah, or longer. You get a weekend or a week or 2.5 year training school. It's like, we've got different depths of lengths of these journeys. Yeah, but essentially, this is why I always get excited when I teach. It's like we're not just doing a class for the sake of it. We're doing a hero's journey for deep existential transformation, renewal, healing, vision, opening. Yeah, and I just see the huge value of this. And it doesn't take much, to take a class into a journey. Do you see? All the people like doing Zumba or everything else could just do a tiny little bit of a story, all right? And suddenly it's like Zumba is now I'm entering into the world of Latin America, opening up the heat in my body and all these things. And suddenly you're doing something which is what used to be a fitness class is now something to awaken the fire in my life. So I'm just saying, just in terms of holistic teaching, holistic education, weaving in a narrative, because we are story-based beings. This is evident. Yeah? This is not going beyond the story. This is going upgrading a story and telling a conscious story. You're inviting people into a conversation, yeah, which is a view, yeah. Well, in terms of practically, Saskia, is that the first stage people come in. There's a bit of ambient music playing. It's not dancey music necessarily, but ambient music. You invite people to come and sit down. Start off with the usual welcoming circle. Hi, I'm Saskia. I'm feeling this. Welcome to this journey this evening. What's your name? Why are you here? Where are you from? All that stuff. But keep it quite precise, so it's not a long speech. Yeah. And so you move around the circle with 5, 10, 15, 20 people in 5 minutes or less. And then you say, I really would like to introduce to you this evening what this journey is about, what I'm proposing. And every proposal, I would suggest to you, see if you can think like Joseph Campbell or Jung or Orlando Toro, universal themes. Okay? All right. What is it? What is a universal theme that's going to be most relevant to this group of human beings on a Friday night? Do you see? And you might start to know your students quite well. You might start to recognize there are certain themes: poverty, relationship, sexuality, creativity. You might start to hear that. People might start to reveal that in the sharing process. Yeah? So you're always attentive. What is this group of human beings who've come to me? What are they really interested in? And how can I meet that on the dance floor? Yeah. So then you give your little speech, okay? And it's not a huge philosophical speech. It's not going to go on for hours and ages. It's not a great lengthy bardish myth that's going to be told for 3 days. You're giving essential key elements that, from your perspective, is an invitation to a journey which they're about to dance into. Yeah. So, it's a hugely different journey if I start telling a story of childhood, isn't it? Yeah, and I start to invite people into their childhood to reflect upon times when it was light and bright and happy and joyful, and they could connect to their friends and the good moments of expression. All right, so we're going to do the magical child dance for this Thursday evening. Yeah? That kind of narrative is very, very different to like, we're now going to go into the underworld and do the shadow dance. And we're going to look at your pain body and where you've been wounded and scarred. And, because I sense and feel the group is safe and grounded and trustworthy together, that we can do this work now. So you got to pick your moments, do you see? But your little introduction completely changes the nature of the activity, okay? I just want to give you a quick example. So yesterday, I was there doing the closing. I had the closing 45 minutes of the group we did a 3-day Urban Oasis event. And I showed up and I was playing some music, as I do, and people coming in. And I was going a bit of Ed Sheeran, a bit dancey, upbeat, kind of neutralish music, which is quite fun and joyful. I quite like Shivers. I quite like that track. followed by bad habits. And, you know, I found myself going down the track of disco. So it's closing ceremony, we're on a bit of a disco, and everyone's very happy, very light, yeah? And then my organizer comes to me and he says, when are we going to start, yeah? And from my perspective, I've already started 10 minutes ago, yeah? I was doing quite a light, happy, joyful, earthy grounding, yeah? And I thought for a minute, okay, I could change the nature of this. Yeah? How can I change the nature of this, yeah? And at the end of one track, I just stopped the track, pulled them into a circle, and I just said a few words about grounding, integration, harmonizing, and allowing the treasure of the last 2 days to settle into your body. Yeah? So that was my story. My story was an integration story. Yeah. At first, I kind of resisted it because I was quite enjoying my little party DJ set. Anyway, once I got over myself, and I did this and held the space, and then we did a few breathing exercises, a bit of shaking, integration. Suddenly, within half an hour, because we didn't have very long, we did this incredible transformational workshop, which kind of completed and tied up and integrated and landed and harmonized the group. Yeah? And I'm so glad I did it. Yeah? I'm just saying to you, it didn't take long. I didn't give a 10-minute speech. I gave a 2-minute speech of let's land this, let's integrate this, let's just take a moment to breathe in and feel the pleasure, the beauty, the gratitude that you've touched in the last 2 days, and invite your body to like receive it, absorb this. And then I did the thing I often say to you, is like feel a rainbow from inside you reaching out into your world. And we did a dance of imagination. I want you to imagine the qualities you're now feeling, because everyone was feeling very loved up, you know, as you do on a Sunday afternoon, loved up group. How can you bring this into your Monday morning? How can you bring this into your home, into your workplace? I want you to start to visualize this, feel it, sense it, and dance it. Then we did a 3-4 minute dance, and I could see them taking it really quite seriously. It's like, wow, how do I bring this feeling of love back home? How do I bring this power into my self-expression? And then we got into share, just like arrows. They all just said 1 or 2 words each, but it was very, very deep, do you see? And the reason I'm saying this to you is I completely changed course direction, you know, just by introducing a couple of words which were holding a space of a grounding story. Yeah. So you kind of getting a feel for this, how to invite people into a hero's journey, which is a mythic journey, existential journey, either in a few sentences or in an example from yourself, which is always good. If you can share something from your own life experience. You know, I used to be in the corporate world. I decided to go and live in the forest and connect to the nature, and now this is me, and I love dance. I'm now bringing the forest into the corporate world, and this is the way it's full cycle. Do you see? You know, it's like you can tell something from your journey and what it's done for you, because then people connect to you personally. They see it's a real grounded thing. You're not just making it up, yeah? And you're inviting them in. Yeah. Can I just get a bit of reflection from us all? How's this going in? Anybody? And Saskia, the rules of engagement in Zoom, if you want to speak, you want to put your hand into the center like this. That means I want to speak. Instead of like a little finger, just like, yes. So you're going to practice. If you want to speak, stick your hand in. I'll go with Dan. Dan's got his biggest hand at the moment. This was closer to the camera.
Ik begreep hem niet.
I was just a bit quicker.
It's all right, yeah, that's all right. Come on in, Dan.
Okay, yeah. When you were talking about a theme and things like that, it just popped up to me that I use that every week for biodanza class, and I write an invitation, and it starts to work already in my imagination, and it starts it's showing up in my life then, and then in the on Wednesday evening I just tell what I feel about the theme, and I invite people to share some words what it does for them, and then it starts living, and it's really amazing how it just all connects to each other. It like there's an existential field that we're all connected to. Yeah.
Amazing that you noticed that. Yeah, that seems to be the way it works, isn't it? You bring a focus and you invite people into that focus, and you know, in an ideal world, and I actually did this for a little while, I used to send a newsletter out at the beginning of the week, which told a whole story about what I'd be teaching on the Thursday. So I'd write 2 pages. I'd really let myself go into it and give them my view of it, some teachings of it, invitations, even some exercises. And when I could be bothered to do that, because it was an effort, it was a mission, I loved it. Yeah. It was so incredible what happened on the dance floor, because there was no longer, how are you feeling? Well, not much. People are already, they're already halfway in the dance. Even though it was just like a Thursday evening for a couple of hours, they already were taking it like, we're doing this. Yeah? And so maybe there is some kind of version of that. It doesn't have to be 2 pages, but this could be some kind of extra bit to your advertising. Yeah, it could be like if you do a Facebook ad and 5 people say they're going, you then send those 5 people your page. Yeah, thanks very much for showing interest. This is what we're doing. See, all right. So the people who've kind of said yes already, then you give them a bit more. You start to feed that fire. There could be marketing ways of doing this, but it's really about just building the narrative with people. Yeah, because you know, as a teacher, when you say you're going to do relationships, your next week is going to be all about relationships. That's why you've got to be a little bit careful about what themes you're calling in. Yeah, I've sometimes spent months doing shadow dance work, and I've got to let my personal life has been pretty intense during that time. Yeah, and so knowing that, I then spend the next few months doing ecstasy work just to balance myself out. Yeah. So Saskia, do you want to go next? Then Tanya, what are you hearing or receiving from any of this?
Well, I worked out a few stories for the Sacred Heart Gathering about the dream catcher and also about the how do you call it in English? And now I'm going to give high dancing in Almere, and I worked on a journey, the magical child. And I was also thinking what I'm going to tell them in the beginning about the journey, because I want them to connect with their inner child. But I also want some integration in the journey, that they become their own parent and give the child what is needed. But I was also searching from how I'm going to tell that, because I don't want it to become a therapy dance. Huh?
So what is your present awareness?
I was afraid that well, I don't know the group. It's new for me. It's also a new experience for me to facilitate the journey. But I wanted to be a safe place where they can play together, but I also want to be a place that they can integrate the child and feel it and give the child what is needed. But I don't know the group yet, and I don't want it to be a therapy. So I was searching from how am I going to tell what I want, so that it also feels a safe place for the people, that they are invited to step in the journey.
So what have you figured out so far then as a way to manage that?
Well, that I have to tell a good story and guide also the process step by step.
Okay, so yeah. I just want to remind you and all of us is that just keep remembering these spirals. Okay, Piaget's evolving spiral. Okay, is that you're coming into a new group, you don't know them. That's from your side. They don't know you. They don't know the process.
No.
So whoever shows up is pretty brave. Okay. You're taking a risk, they're taking a risk. Yeah. The place you want to meet them is at the first very small level of the spiral. So the thing is, first of all, I would get over your fear, or if it's a fear or a reaction to it being therapeutic. It probably will be therapeutic if you're going to be doing inner child.
It starts with me. Yes, it starts with me. Yeah.
No, but I wouldn't try and say, well, I don't want it to be a therapy, because actually that might also deny some healing process. That might deny some opening. That might deny some releasing. Rolando Toro always used to say, Beer Dance is not a therapy, but it has therapeutic aspects. And I just feel this is the right kind of balance, okay? I'm not a music dance therapist. I don't go in there specifically, what's your problem, and they're going to fix you. I have done that a few times with certain people. I've done one-to-one sessions. But I was really clear that's what I was doing in those sessions. It was more of a healing modality using dance and awareness. Yeah? And you definitely could use the dancing heart apart like that for one-to-one sessions or very small group sessions. But then you're moving into a different area of healing, okay? To deny the fact it's going to have therapeutic consequences is a bit ridiculous, because it always has therapeutic consequences. People cry, they release, they open, they express. It's constantly, what does therapy even mean? Doesn't it mean opening up from the inside? It's almost like the very definition of what the dancing heart path does, really. Yeah. But your intention is you're not going in there as a healer to go and fix and change people and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you're there to support them in their own evolution and awakening. It's got a different starting point. Okay? So That's the first thing, except that there probably will be some kind of therapeutic consequences. But you have your power on the volume switch. That's your power, right? You can turn them up the spiral. You can intensify the build of it, okay? Or you can turn the volume down, yeah? And very, very simple things, like when you're working with rhythm, rhythm is rooting and grounding, okay? So if you find people flying off into fancy, imagination, memories, with too much melody, like you've just put on 3 dreamy musics, do you see? And you've lost them, you've lost their embodiment. You haven't lost them, you've just spaced them out. See, they're still in the room. They're just in space in the room. All right. So what you want to do is you want to bring them back, call them back with some drums, call them back with a sound.
I did that. I have a drum in the in the shadow work. Yeah.
That's good. But also be aware that the shamanic drum can then take people into deeper trance. So it's not just any kind of drum. Okay. We're talking about sort of djembes, kind of rhythmic music with dance aspects to it. Because it's a different thing. Shamanic drum is not really in the same category of drum, because it's a medicine initiator that takes people into certain rhythmic frequencies where people travel even deeper, as we're aware of. Yeah? When I'm talking about the drum here, I'm really talking about the rhythmic drum of the dancer. Yeah. The one that brings you back to your ovaries, your testicles, your power center, your feet, your knees. You see. So know that you have those tools. Okay. Also, at the same time, very simple stuff. You can work with breathing. Breathe deeper into your belly. Eyes open, put your hand on your belly. Just ground the experience. See if you can get present. Even if it's comfortable or uncomfortable, see if you can just breathe with the experience. Yeah? So that's solo work, yeah? Or, if people are really going deeper into a process more quickly than you'd like them to, you just invite them to lie down and you put on a very soft harmonic music. We're going to take a deep breath and surrender and melt into ocean waves, for example. There's lots of ways of resetting the group. Do you see?
Yeah. But I really have to follow them close and stay very connected to see what they need. Because I
that's one approach. I would invite you to do slightly differently at the beginning. Okay, like I've shared loads of times, but for me there's 2 approaches to teaching. There's the feel and respond, or there's the Moses approach. Okay, all right. The feel and respond is I watch and see, and I work with the group. Okay. The Moses approach is you're coming with me. It's more certain, it's more definite. You're holding the space, creating the container, creating the journey itself. Yeah? And that's more appropriate for a new group. Because a new group, they want to feel your backbone as a teacher. They want to know they can trust you by the way that you're holding the space. If you're hardly holding the space because you're letting spirit hold the space, which is fine as you know the group bigger, right? The more you know the group, the less they want you to hold the space. You're probably fed up with me holding space. Right? So it's like I step back more and more the more the group gets to know me. But with a new group, I step in more and more and give more structural, contained exercises, if you like. Yeah? Yeah. So with a new group, I would first of all start off with your intention that this is going to be a low-level introduction to the magical child. Do you see? So your intention is holding the first layer of the circle. It's soft, it's light, it's an introduction, and it's 2 hours. And that's going to show up in your intention. That's also going to show up in your speaking, in your music choice, in the way you put the journey together, and in how you invite the group. Do you see? I would suggest that you actually do a series with this group, a series of 3. And whether you've decided that now or you can decide that at the end of the journey, the first journey, you could suggest that the work with the magical child is deep and profound, and it would be amazing. We went on a journey together for the next 3, 4, 5. Dance journeys. This is how I'd love to work, see? And then each week you're then deepening and expanding. And what you're actually doing as a teacher, facilitator, you're introducing new elements. So like the first element could be play and joy. Yeah? Or it could be we're going to find happy memories from childhood. Quite light and bright stuff, yeah? So you're training people in traveling on the timeline. But then it might be on week 3, you're going to look at some of the stuff which is a bit more uncomfortable. Places where, you got bullied in the playground. It's like, you felt left out of the group. Somebody stole your lunch money. It was hard times at home. And giving space for that and do a few liberation exercises. But again, not for very long. It's just like 2 or 3 minutes of shaking or breathing or sounding. Just a very, very simple principle from Biodanza is that Rolando Toro used to say, right? Because he was quite naughty, as you may know, sometimes, and creative. Right? I think it's part of the creative mind, isn't it? You've got to be a bit naughty to be creative. Right? He would say he'd put on one music, it'd be a caress music, okay? And he'd play it once, this music, and everyone's like caressing, going, like this, right? Then he'd play the music a second time, and it's like, oh, you know, it's getting deeper. Then he'd play the music a third time, and it's like, oh, you know, fourth time. And he said, if you play the same music 4 or 5 times, 6 times, you're going to start an orgy. You know, the first time, it's just a simple caress of the hands, very polite, very, you know, gentlemanly, you know, with boundaries and borders. But the more people get into it, the more they surrender into it, the deeper they go, the more opens up inside of them. That's in terms of eroticism, okay? Now, the same thing is true of inner child work. There's the first layer, which is I look into your eyes. You know, I connect with you. You know, briefly, 30 seconds, 10 seconds. Yeah, or we play a game together. You know, we do a dance of the feet. We watch the feet. We do the back-to-back game. You know, we touch the elbow game. You know, we do the mirror game. These are all fun stuff. Did you see? They're low level connection, expression work. Okay, it can still trigger people. You know, you might think it's a low level. For somebody who's got invisibility issues, the worst thing they want to do is to be dancing in front of someone else mirroring them. Do you see? You might like caressing, somebody strokes your hand and you freak out into tears. So it's like you've always got to be sensitive to that as well. What you think is low level for someone is super intense. Yeah. And then you kind of got to turn the volume down a bit more and play the rhythmic drums. Turn the lights up a little bit. Raise your voice. You know, there's all sorts of little, you know, interventions you can do to bring people back in, okay? So anyway, what I'm saying to you all here, and you, Saskia especially, is this progressivity. Don't feel you have to give everything at once. Yeah, just imagine that you're in it for a long. If you imagined it's 3 sessions, okay, and then that'd be a good way to imagine it anyway. What would I do in the first session? What would I do in the second session? What would I do in the third session? I'm even better with the inner child. It would be 5 sessions, to be honest. I mean, some people spend years doing inner child work, yeah? But you could give it a container. I've done this before with different themes. You know, I'll do a creativity theme for 5 weeks. You know, I'll do the relationship for 3 weeks. Yeah, I love working like this. You know, the group goes very deep, and they're steady, and they process it in the weeks in between as well. It's a very rich way to work. Yeah? Do you have any other questions or feedback from this? How does that sound to kind of turn the volume down a bit? Does that make sense to you, to do it progressively, steadily?
Thank you.
Yes, good.
Clear. Yeah, very clear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tanya, is anything there for you?
Yeah, because you started about the magical child in the dance course, but I realized that moment for me was a really good moment to entangle my narratives, because I worked before in child, I don't know the English word, child protection as a social worker. So actually I worked like 13 years in my own shadowland, and then and that also, yeah, that was really my focus because it was unconscious. And then when you open the field of the magical child, my whole life starts to blossom again. So only because of my focus went to in something that I liked.
Yeah.
And so the brain was in a kind of a loop all those years. And then that team made a lot of difference in my life. But I am preparing for a retreat at the end of June. And the first I wanted sacred union, and I was no natural bliss. And then I found, because I'm doing it in a spiritual center, and I started dance journeys because of all the house and techno parties with using drugs.
Yeah.
So then, okay, natural bliss, we'll see what happened. And this morning I sat down to feel what wants to come up in these 3 days. And then I noticed that I worked on the chakras. So the first 2 chakras, Friday, Saturday, the the second, third, and fourth, and the fifth night. Anyway, because I choose this topic, natural bliss, spontaneously from inside out, this chakra system came up, and I never worked before with this, but of course, I also had this life from 20 till now to Kundalini meditation, so it is black and white, my life. So it's interesting that this wants to come up from wherever it wants to come, but yeah. So this morning I wrote down from what was wanting to come out on this topic. It was interesting because normally I work from teams, like journeys you learned in a trance dance or ceremony, warming up, blah, blah, blah. And now some totally different thing happened.
So this might be an interesting way for us to, in a previous meeting, Saskia, which is recorded, so, you know, if you want to take the time and have a look at it, we were looking at different ways in to facilitate. Now, how do you prepare a dance journey? Yeah, I'll just give you a couple of examples. Like one avenue of preparation is you love a piece of music. So the music is what inspires you to then, you know, create the journey itself. Another way in is that you may have something personally going on in your life that you're also exploring that you think is relevant for everybody else. Yeah, so that's another avenue in to create a process. It might be that you've watched a movie, you're touched by a book, a friend has shared something. Basically, what I'm saying is your field of artistic inspiration is all around you all the time, yeah. And there's lots of different ways in to create a dance journey. So just invite you at this stage to be very open, yeah. So you don't get fixed that, you know, the way I create a dance journey is I have my theme, look at my music, put the exercises together. Yeah. Well, it might go that way this week, and then next week it comes because a friend starts pouring their heart out for you, and you realize, you know, I'm so touched by what she just shared that friendship and community is what is necessary. Yeah. So it's just keeping yourself open to these different avenues. It might be interesting, right? Just since we're talking about journeys, stories this week, for you during this week, okay? And whether you're doing a journey like Saskia's doing one, and Tanya's got an event, and Dan's got Speedanza, but even just start to conceive of like, how could I create like a paragraph? If you create 3 or 4 paragraphs, right, which are like introductions to stories that you could tell a group. Yeah, so these are different invitations to journey. Yeah, and what would be ideally good would be if you had a whole book of these, wouldn't it? That'd be great. You had a page on each. This is my child journeys. These are my relationship journeys. And if you started to think like this, then when you start to read a good book, you'd put that bibliography in. You know, if it's on a computer, you'd put the YouTube clip in. You see, you start to